Okay.
So about a week before E3, I made a video talking about what I was expecting from the show in regards to Batman. Batman's one of my favorite superheroes. I love the Arkham games, and Rocksteady's been quiet for a while, so I felt like it was probably going to be time to see a new Batman property, if not from Rocksteady, then WB Montreal. But the show came and went, and we have a grand total of 0 announcements from WB Games in regards to any of their DC properties. So once E3 ended, the DC gaming world kind of got on the back burner in my brain for other things that got announced. But last fall, I platinumed Arkham Asylum on the PS4, and I felt the urge to revisit Arkham City over the past week. I'm not done with it yet, but I'm having a blast with it. I forgot how much I love this game. It's perfect in so many ways, but it's got my mind racing again about what to expect from the future of Batman games, of DC games, of Rocksteady games, just in general DC properties in gaming, when it's coming, and being fully realistic, I don't think it's coming until next gen. First of all, I think we just have to lay the baseline and talk about where we stand as far as Rocksteady releases go. I did go over this in that Batman E3 video, so I'm not going to dwell too long on it, but we did get Arkham VR in 2016, and Rocksteady, as they've been very vocal about, treated that as a very big project for the studio post Arkham Knight. It was a pretty beefy experience and one of the premier PlayStation VR titles for a very long time, still well reviewed and still held in high regard by a lot of owners of that headset. So for the sake of discussion, we can say that their last game was 2016 because Arkham VR was a pretty substantial effort. I also think it's worth mentioning that the last game WB Montreal put out and worked on that isn't some side mobile game or giving assistance to other branches of WB games was Arkham Origins in 2013. So they've been silent for even longer, and it seems like the popular opinion among the Arkham community is that Arkham Origins has aged incredibly well and is a lot of people's favorite in this overall series. It doesn't get the attention or love it deserves. I myself, as a huge Arkham fan, have yet to play Arkham Origins, but I really want to. I think I might after I finish City. Revisiting City and experiencing this progression in combat again just makes me so hungry for what's next from this series. It seems like every 6 to 8 months we get a new batch of rumors about what's going on with the DC properties when it comes to gaming, from Rocksteady to WB Montreal to other branches of WB. A lot of this is coming from game journalism websites. We have some corroborated information from Jason Schreier, and to my brief knowledge, within the past 2 years or so, the guy's batting 1,000, so I'm trusting a lot of what he says when it comes to this stuff. We do know Rocksteady has been very quiet since 2016 as far as what they're working on. We know they're working on something because they've been hiring people and showing office photos. We just know that the only thing they're not doing is Superman, so we can toss that out right now. And while I personally believe that we are going to be getting a Arkham Origins follow-up from WB Montreal that is about the Court of Owls because of all that teasing, and we could be seeing it on the PS4, Xbox One generation, maybe we get an announcement at Comic-Con or something else in the future, I think Rocksteady, for the ambition, for the multiplayer aspects that's rumored about that game, for the multiple cities we're exploring, I think it's safe to say after about 3 to 4 years at this point, they should just wait for next gen. Because regardless if they're making a Justice League game or if they're just making some other sort of thing where it's multiplayer based with multiple cities to explore, there's a lot of things you have to work on in that development. It sounds very ambitious. If we are going to be exploring Coast City, Gotham City, Metropolis, that's a lot of space to all design and flesh out to the level I did for Arkham Knight. And if it is a Justice League game and it's coming from Rocksteady, they really have to nail the combat and progression systems for each individual character. Batman and Superman don't fight the same, Wonder Woman and Superman don't fight the same. You gotta make Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, maybe Martian Manhunter, because Green Lantern's kind of hard to do in a game. Regardless, you have a lot of different things you have to juggle for whatever project they're doing. Now, the recent rumor was Outlaws. I don't know how much I believe that because it's weird. I feel like there's always been rumblings of a Suicide Squad or some sort of DC villains game. I don't know how much that would work. I don't know how entertaining that could be. But if it is a Justice League game, in the style of the Avengers game, but done with the history and experience of Rocksteady from the Arkham trilogy, that's something I'd be super excited for. So if we're talking dream scenarios, this game's coming out like close to the launch of next gen. I think it's realistic to think that it is going to come out next gen. I don't think we're getting a release on the current generation of hardware, but I do think it's realistic that we could see an announcement of it within the next year or so. So I think a couple likely times, like I mentioned earlier, Comic-Con could show us something from DC games. I would love to see it. I know Marvel Games is showing live audiences their gameplay for the Avengers game, which is already a little mixed in terms of its reception. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a fun time. I personally am interested by the games as a service elements. I really had a lot of fun with Destiny, so if Avengers can give me that, that'd be cool. I'd love, though, if DC Games knows Marvel's going there, knows that they're not going to reveal the game to the wider public, drops a trailer for, let's just say, Justice League, which does everything Avengers is promising to do, but with the polish and perfection of Rocksteady's combat and progression, and that just looks so much better because it's dedicated to next gen, and then that just releases everywhere. I feel like they could just like show up and steal Avengers Thunder, which, yeah, you know, like people like to be competitive at Comic-Con for who has the bigger announcements. So in terms of gaming, if they wanted to, if it was logistically possible to, would be very funny and cool to see them drop that there. I also think a very likely time would be later this year at the 2019 Game Awards. We know Jeff Keighley does a great job with that show. It's one of my favorite things to watch every year. I think he does a phenomenal job making the Game Awards a special night for gaming. And a lot of that comes in from the game reveals and announcements that he gets throughout the year to reveal at his show. In the past, we have seen stuff from the Arkham series be revealed there. Arkham has a history of winning awards at their show, so I could definitely see something happen there as well. Maybe if there is 2 projects going on, you do one at Comic-Con, you do the next gen one at the Game Awards, or maybe if there's a PSX this year, or even a PS5 console reveal event like the PS4 had in the early months of 2013 before it launched later that year. I could see Rocksteady or WB Games choosing any one of these events to finally reveal their game at. I think if they want to have a stage mostly to themselves where they could show up and make headlines and own the news that day, I feel like that makes a lot of sense. Where if you wait for an E3, especially next E3, I feel like that's going to be super crowded for announcements. But if there is going to be some similarities between these two Avengers and, again, for conversation, Justice League games, which are chasing similar things, I think one being next gen, dedicated next gen, without having the weird what's going to happen about cross-gen progression that is coming up with Avengers currently, I think that'll benefit it a lot, and hopefully we see it sooner than later. But until then, I want to hear from you. What do you think of all this? And let me know what your favorite Arkham game is, because I always said Asylum. I know a lot of people swear by City, but Asylum was like okay when I revisited it, and now, not even being done with Arkham City, game's a 10. So Arkham City is clearly my favorite of the 3 now. But that's going to do it for the Batman and DC discussion today. Do you think we're going to see any news from this around Comic-Con? Let me know. But until then, be sure to stick around here on JoyClicks. I appreciate you for checking the video out if you stuck around this long. And of course, if there's going to be any news out of Comic-Con, I'm going to cover it here. Thank you for watching. It means a lot. And as always, good vibes and good game.